Fire Warrior here. Today we will be on part 2 on my character creation. We will be learning how to make bots. Specifically, we'll be learning how to make OCs and the kind of strategies that you can use to make your OC. Now, let's look at my latest character, Kiko. She is a cheetah girl, and right now I am pretty happy with her. And some of you may want to make your own Tico. Okay, you want to make her. But you must be asking yourself, what kind of style should I use? Well, you have a few options. Namely, three. You have bootleg, where it's literally just this. Where you're just throwing in random things until it makes sense. It was good in the past, but unfortunately, bootleg is no longer good. The reason being why it's no longer good is because it is outdated and it's made primarily for bots. Well, LMs that had low memory back in the day. Nowadays, a lot more LLMs are a little bit more advanced than what they're used to be, but you're still running into quite a few issues because the bot is forced to assume so much and then just build. So it's like, here's arms and legs, now build yourself, and it's like, oh, thanks, jerk. And so yeah, you're expecting the bot to interpret too much and you're running into so many issues. Now, onto the other formatting, W++. W++ is actually really good because it actually gives you what you need, what you want, and essentially it is highly customizable. And you can build your character any way you want. But I have seen instances of people running away with W++ because they add in so much. Because you have what I have, where it's just basic information, but you run into issues where it's like, okay, name, race, sexuality, occupation, jobs, likes, dislikes, and then it's just like, no, you're feeding your bot too much. And so some things can just literally be either be treated one of the same or combined together. Like, for example, sexuality. Okay, you want your character to be a specific sexuality. One issue though, all bots are user sexual. So no matter what you put down, you can always change the bot's sexuality during the roleplay with the right prompting and the right gaslighting. And so you just wasted some token space. Can you force the bot to be in that certain particular situation? Yes, but also no. Let me explain. The reason why it can be yes, but also no, is because it can be very LLM dependent. So you can have a bot of like that, but unless if the bot or LLM is advanced enough, you can literally just change the bot. The user can literally just change the bot to that preference instead. And so you just wasted token space. Race and ethnicity, you're running into issues with that, namely because it's like race and ethnicity can literally, in terms of bot usage, be treated as one of the same. Yeah, so that is a issue because like you treat it can be treated as one of the same and you're wasting token space. Instead, if you want someone who is like of a different race, like who is like Latina, you just go, oh, Karen is a Latina, is a Latina in the rule section. And then you mention that in the role play. You want to do that instead of this. Another thing is sex. Again, you're wasting space because all you have to do is use she, her, or he, him pronouns. But for the sake of the argument, especially if people want to make a trans character, personally, I don't recommend it starting out just because some bots can get particularly weird. But for the sake of the argument, do this. Identifies as male. And then you add an example dialogue where she uses he, him pronouns or he, her, or whatever. The reason why you want to do that for trans characters, like treat gender and sex as one and the same, is mostly just for token space. And you can just use the rules mentioning that the character is trans and then use dialogue examples that shows how to do so. And that's how you kind of like teach the bot how to use sexuality and stuff. Occupation. One thing I'm probably going to beat you over the head. You don't need to mention jobs there. If you're going to give a character occupation, you want it in there. And my reasoning why is what happens if the character is unemployed or you haven't really thought of a job? So instead, is either best to not mention it at all or put it into the rules section. And so that's where you start running into issues. And then the next one is dislikes. And if you remember my previous video, dislikes are very easy to run away with. So I don't recommend adding in dislikes. Now, onto the rule section. We are going to be looking at some of the more advanced techniques. Now, first thing you're going to notice with this rule section is that there are example dialogue. The reason why I have example dialogue is because bots operate on a rule called monkey see, monkey do. And if you give a bot example dialogue, you're going to teach the bot how to act in certain situations. Now, let's look at this one, for example. Care has a sweet tooth and will happily take sweet from user. Okay, she has a sweet tooth. Okay, now there's example dialogue. Okay, under normal circumstance, if you give a bot a cookie, the bot will happily take the cookie. But for the character that I am trying to make, where she is supposed to be a bit smug, a bit haunty, a bit playful, I cannot have the generic take and eat reaction. Instead, I need to be a lot more playful with my interactions. And so I add in example dialogue next to it. Hmm, you have brownies for me? Why, thank you. And what that does is that it teaches the bot to be a bit more flirty interactions. And next time when you give a bot a brownie or a cookie or a sweet, she's going to be a bit more flirty with you. And essentially, she'll be a lot more playful. Now, let's scroll up a bit. Oh, one. Where is that one? Sorry about that. I had to find what I was looking for. Okay. Oh, sorry about that again. Okay. Finally found what I was looking for. Care is extremely possessive of user and she will smack other women. Okay. Now, this is another example of example dialogue. Reason why I add in no, he's mine, Care smack says as she smacks another woman. What that one does is that it teaches the bot to be a lot more possessive and also it teaches her how to attack. The reason why I wanted that for her is because she is a possessive little cheetah girl. That is basically it. And I also know that some cats can get a little bit jealous at times, and so for the comedic effect, I had her smack other rivals for very obvious reasons. Because funny. And then now you have the last one, love bites. Okay, now some of you must be wondering, why did I not add an example dialogue for love bites? Well, the answer is simple. I actually did not need to. And you're wondering, what do you mean that I did not need to? It's simple. I literally did not need to. Because, da da da, first message. I can add an example dialogue treating the first message as the example dialogue. So, when I mentioned that Care loves to give love bites, and then have the character give you love bites in the first message, then the bot is going to be giving you love bites because it knows what to do and it also has that one example message of love biting you. And you basically get a bit of a interaction. So you can even treat the first message as a example dialogue. Scenario, same thing. Well, just for the sake of novel, for one way you can like make sure novel doesn't implode on you if you insist on using the novel formatting. You can ask ChatGPT to fix your grammar, and it can actually do so fairly well. Just be aware that it's good for like common people, but for a English teacher or someone who has really good grammar, um, you will trigger these people. It's good enough to pass through most people, but it's not good enough to pass a English teacher. An English teacher would look at this, and the English teacher will be very annoyed with you. Might even fail you on the spot. So, yeah. Use this, but don't use it professionally. And now on the example dialogue. Okay, now for example dialogue, we are going to be focusing a little bit more on that one, namely because a member on my Discord server actually requested that I try to explain example dialogue a bit better. Okay. So here's what you kind of need to do for example dialogue. You need to give the character some information when it comes to interactions and stuff. And if you remember on my last video, you can do neat little tricks. This one, I'm doing a little bit of an expansion on that one and possible neat tips and tricks to make it a little bit easier for you. So, here's a few things that you can do for the example dialogue. One way is to write it out yourself, and you can actually get the job done. But here's another trick that you can do instead: ask the bot to, as DeepSeek, to generate dialogue examples for you. The reason why you want to do that is because DeepSeek or any other large language model like ChatGPT is actually very competent when it comes to pretending to be the character. And so when you ask it to give you three dialogue examples, it will give you three dialogue examples. The reason why you want to do that is because if you're trying to get a certain personality trait and your personality is not compatible, you'll run into issues. Like someone like me, I'm more blunt and I tend to stumble over my own words. And in some cases, I tend to tell too many jokes and I may be a little unhinged. If I am writing a overly polite, noble woman, we're going to have issues because um I'm too blunt for my own good. And so that's where AI comes in. I asked DeepSeek to generate me three dialogue examples while pretending to be a noble woman, and then it generates me three dialogue examples where I can just put it in there. And now I have dialogue examples of a noble woman. For my case, a haughty cheetah girl. Now, another thing you also notice is this thing. Some of you are wondering why I have this. Well, the idea is that it's supposed to act like a stopping point for the bot and as a starting point. This is supposed to show, okay, the dialogue. Now, you should be aware that some people will do this, which can work, and it has worked, but there are some issues with that. Namely, there are a few platform compatibilities. If you're on something like Meta, um, yeah, you're not gonna have that. You're not gonna have the example dialog box because the developers of Meta decided that example dialog is completely useless, and so you're forced to add it in yourself in this section. And that's when you will need to add that in the personality section if you want example dialogue. But under normal circumstance, the bots can see this. Well, it doesn't see start, but it sees end, and then it just sees the chunks and clunks of it. And so you basically get a more neat example dialogue message. It's a bit hard to explain. Just know the moment you put that and start and then message, start, message start, it will see all three of your example dialogue, which allows the bot to actually understand what it needs to do and what it needs to say. Now, onto the next section, we will be going over to Janitor. Just so you would know, okay, how should you build your bots? Well, plan out your bots. Okay, for Janitor. First thing you're going to notice on Janitor is that there are a lot of bots on Janitor. Reason for this is because so many people are uploading so many characters at a time. And so you're constantly needing to compete with all these people as a bot maker. So you have two options. One, you can just go the stereotypical and just go, hee hee, pretty cat girl. I like cat girl. But you run into an issue of, okay, you made a cat girl. Why should I use your cat girl? Because she's adoptable. Okay, so is Vanilla. Vanilla is adoptable. Why should I use your bot over Vanilla? I like Vanilla more. But she's cute. So is she. Oh no, look, there's Dobby. Oh yeah, poor misunderstood cat boy. I need to protect Dobby. Cat Dobby. Or oh, abused cat, I need to rescue her. Oh my god, she's getting head pats. Oh, slave. Oh, boss turned into cat girl. Yeah, this is what you are competing against. And so you need to come up with a reason as of why I should use your character over mine. Let me give you a example on what I do to get around that. One way that I use to get around that is with demi-humans. Some of you must be wondering, oh, okay, why demi-humans? Or why should I not just stick to Nekos or Kitsunes? Simple. Cheetah girls. Come think of it, some of you are probably going to be like, okay, fire, but you have cat girls on your profile. That is true. But that's mostly because I like making cat girls and I'm willing to brute force the follower count to some degree. But some of you guys who want to get to growing fast need to be a little bit more tactile. So I am teaching you the more tactical ways to grow your characters, your follower count for this section. So let's look at the cheetah girl. Cheetah, okay. You have the cheetah. Cute cheetah girl. Yes, okay. She is technically a cat girl. Okay. Now, if people are looking for cat girls, they may stumble upon her. You can technically use Neko because cat girl. But here's something that you also gain access to: the cheetah girl tag. Because here's the thing: you have cheetah girls, and you have 21 characters. Okay, good news. You only have to compete against 21 characters instead of how many that are on Neko? Oh, that's nice. 88. Yeah. Do you want to compete against 88 Nekos? Or, for being more specific, do you want to compete against 1,471? Or do you want to compete against 21? Yeah. That's why I'm recommending you go with some of the more obscure stuff. Now, let me teach you a neat little trick called tag maxing. Tag maxing. Tag maxing is something that you do want to do as much as possible with your bots. The reason why you want to tag max is because your character is more likely to show up in more places. And so, if you max out your tags, let's say on janitor, which allows for the maximum of 10 tags, if you max that one out, you have an opportunity to show up in 10 different places. Though for something, let's say for Chubb, you can have as many tags as you want. And so you have more opportunity to show up in more places. Though Chubb is a bit of a risk, namely because people are likely to see these first versus what's at the end. Some people will tell you it's not worth it to go a lot of tags. Personally, I think you should go as many tags as possible just so you can show up in more places. Anyways, let's go back to janitor. Okay, now let's look at Shadowrun. Well, Nora, the insecure troll. Okay, I made her into a Shadowrun character because I like Shadowrun. And another reason why is because Shadowrun is a bit more obscure. Again, there are 24 Shadowrun characters over on Janitor. This is your competition. And the reason why is because not a lot of people know of Shadowrun. And so you deal with a lot less competition for Shadowrun. And so you're wondering, okay, if less people know about Shadowrun, why should I make Shadowrun characters? Simple. You can do tricky things with your tags. Let me find one. For example, okay, troll. Okay, I can use the troll tag. Okay, now I can use the Shadowrun tag because she's Shadowrun from Shadowrun. Okay, shy girl. Okay, she's shy, tall, plump. Okay, and some of you are like, oh, but that's not very many. Well, let me show you another thing. If you're on a actually good platform, you have all these. This is where the power of the tags go in. And for the sake of argument, let's use an Dark Elf for example, just so I can hammer it in. Okay, we're working on Shadowrun. Okay, I make a female character. Okay, elf. Okay, I want an elf. Okay, elf, and then oh, Shadowrun. Okay, people are looking for Shadowrun. Shadowrun. Okay, Shadowrun. Okay, now this is where things can get ultimately evil because unlike D&D, because if you make a D&D character, you're still running into the same issues with D&D. Why should I use your D&D bot over some other person's D&D bot? Yeah, Shadowrun allows you to bypass that restriction, and you can be a lot more evil with it because Shadowrun is technically a hybrid between cyberpunk and fantasy. And so now I can use the cyberpunk tag, but it's also fantasy, so I can use the fantasy tag. And since she is an elf, I can use the elf tag. And if I'm particularly evil, drow. And now not only do I get to use the elf tag, but now I can use the drow tag and the dark elf tag. And so I'm essentially maxing out my tags. And now I want to be unique with my drow. Can I make a evil drow 500? Yes. But no, 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 no. Let's not make an evil drow because everyone else is making evil drows. Instead, Dairy Dairy. And so now I have a Dairy Dairy drow. And now my drow is a lot more rememberable compared to Evil Drow 500. Voila! You just got some additional free tags. And they're all linking. You see? So these will ultimately stick out a lot better. Because your nice route is actually your nice drow is actually a lot more memorable compared to the evil drow. Because yeah, people are going after the nice drow, not because oh they're getting beat up, but because your nice drow is a lot more rememberable. Let's look at Maribel. Yes, I know she has low tokens. No, low downloads, but I'm still using her as an example just so you can understand my madness a little bit. Okay, for Mara Blackwell. First thing you're going to notice about her is that she is a plus size woman. She is big. She is very curvy and voluptuous. Okay, some of you are wondering why do I have a plus size elf? Insert joke here. Well, that is simple. Again, more max tagging. But here's the thing. I'm going niche for her because here's the thing. Sure, I can make a skinny elf, but here's the thing with plus size characters. People who like plus size or people who have a particular interest tend to have a certain bleed over. So, let's say, for example, you have a plus size elf. Okay, people who like plus size women are going to flock to you because they got to have their plus size women. Okay, they got their plus size women. But these very same people are going to be very looky look at your profile. And so they're going to be like, oh, what does this person make? Oh, they have plus size women, but they also have a fox girl. I really like fox women. Oh, they have rat women and fox girls and then all these other characters. Okay, now they're going to be looking at your profile and then they're going to be like, I really like what they're making. They may not have every single plus size woman, but I really like Kiko. And so they're going to give you a follow because they also happen to like demi humans. This is why I recommend going into the niche particular taste route. The safest route I always recommend is go plus size women. My reasoning why is because people who like plus size women are usually vanilla. They're a lot more tame compared to the people who like um some unusual stuff. And the people who like plus size, they're just vanilla plus. Just the only difference between average person and someone who likes that kind of stuff is that they happen to like big women. So best advice is go with the big woman route and then every once in a while like throw in like other things kind of like cycle them out. just so you can have a little bit of everything because the ones who like the big ones are going to be trying out that or that or that and that and this. So yeah, this is what I recommend, and this is what you should probably be trying to do when it comes to growing your followers. That's the tactical route. Now, on to the last route before I end it, which is the brute force method, which is a tactic that I mentioned earlier in this video. And it is actually quite valuable, and is actually what I use just because I have quite a bit of free time, is that I make at least one bot per day. Because here's the thing, you make a bot, okay, she's my new one, okay, she shows up. So people who are on the timeline will see her. And I am guaranteed at least one or two people who are new who end up seeing her. I am always guaranteed the one person who downloads it. And I'm also guaranteed to get at least one follow. That is the brute force method, and you can just keep on uploading new characters daily. It is effective, but you do need to be aware that there are some limits. You can use the brute force method freely on Janitor with no problem, but for some places like Chub, you can and will run into issues. Namely, because the people of Chub can get very particular. Because you can be uploading one bot per day, but a Chub user can and will get annoyed with you for spam even though you only upload one bot per day. And then you can lose followers even though you're only uploading one bot per day. So it's very be careful when you use that tactic, but always it is a valuable tactic. Just make sure to have high quality bots because at least if you have the high quality bots, people are less likely to get angry with you. Now, with that said, this will be the end of the video, and for part 3, I will be teaching you how to make RPG bots. And afterwards, maybe a 2-for-1 bot. With that said, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.